What's up, guys? Welcome to another NBA Rundown, courtesy of Run Pure Sports and Run Pure Bets. Today, I am lucky enough to have two daily fantasy gurus in Big T and JSU with me, and we're going to go over the NBA card as well as maybe look at some guys that might be overvalued and undervalued on the DFS side. So, the first game that we're going to talk about is one of Big T's favorite players, and that features Giannis Antetokounmpo, who I can't even pronounce his name, Giannis, right? Big T loves this guy. He thinks he's going to run the league for years. No, but seriously, the Milwaukee is -8 at home. You know, originally when the schedule came out, I had circled this game as a game that I was going to look forward to pounding Milwaukee, but the bookmakers pretty much priced me out of it. At 8, I feel like the line is about right. I thought it might be shorter, but Indiana's kind of fallen on hard times since trading Oladipo. He's been a huge loss. I think after starting so great, they're only 2-5 since the trade, and obviously they didn't get anything in return because LeVert has yet to play. So, number seems about right. We saw Indiana come back last night against Memphis, which was interesting. But I don't know. I don't really know how to rate Memphis in general. But overall, what do you think of this game, Big T? We see a line of 8, and the total is 233.5.
Yeah, the other night too, Milwaukee. I haven't bet Milwaukee too much, but who'd they play the other night? Versus who'd they play the other night? They blew someone out.
Portland Trailblazers.
Yeah, they just match up so perfectly with them. I bet them for like the first time in like years. They just matched up perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Blew them out. But tonight, I kind of like Indiana a little bit. Whenever Indiana gets points like this, 8, 9, 10 points, I'm always going to like them for the most part. They're like your OKC team a little bit, where I love them as a dog. I don't necessarily like them as a favorite ever. They're just one of those teams that they got a bunch of solid guys. They're going to compete. And I think they should be able to keep it close enough. I mean, you got guys that Sabonis should be able to pound them in the post. I like it. And DFS wise, you can definitely go to Sabonis. He looks way too cheap. Brogdon is always in play. Turner has upside. Milwaukee, Giannis has been getting, first of all, I never have liked him that much as a player, but they've bumped his minutes up. The dude is getting close to 40 minutes in these close games. If he's going to keep getting 40 minutes, he's going to be in play every night, because last year he was getting 30 minutes. This year they've ramped him up big time the last couple of weeks because they're tired of struggling and losing. I like Indiana in the game, and I definitely think you can go to some of these pieces in DFS as well. What did we lose, JSU?
Yeah, we lost him, so hopefully we'll be back soon. We won't go too much farther
We don't
along.
need. He's got bad takes, anyways. We don't need
Oh
him to
wow!
talk himself on here.
Quick stats so far: Indiana's 12-9 on the year. Milwaukee 12-8. 11-10 against the spread for the Pacers. Well, Milwaukee's only 8-11, which kind of shows that they're laying big numbers every night. Indiana 13-8 to the over this year. Milwaukee 12-8 to the over. 2.7 net rating for Indiana, 8.2 for Milwaukee. These teams go over a lot. Do you think that we'll see another over here tonight, Big T?
So one thing I've just have never been that good at. I know my strengths and my weaknesses. Totals, for whatever reason, I just have never really been comfortable with them. I never have had that much success, so I usually just don't bet them unless I love it. This game, if I had to pick, I would take the under, but literally that's just a total lean. Like I don't have a strong feel. JSU, did you feed the gerbils? You're able to come back and join us here? Look, you can't even hear us now. Look at this guy.
All right. Well, he figures it out. I was going to say about the totals this year. So usually I'm a stronger sides guy than totals, but this year I have had more success on the totals just because I think that it's easier to model. I think the teams are staying closer night to night, whereas on the sides, I mean, the variance is so high. And then, you brought up the Portland game, right? Something like that just completely throws their net rating out of whack, right? Because obviously it was a poor performance, great matchup. Drew Holiday always does good against Damian Lillard. But, Portland's not, you lose by 40. It just throws everything off. So, yeah, I didn't really have a take here at all. Maybe Milwaukee first half, but if you force me to choose a side, I'd probably take the points because that's the way that I always lean, especially when I'm not sure. But I don't really love this game from a gambling
What
perspective.
makes you? I got a question for you guys, the experts. Like, what makes you want to bet a first half over the game?
The idea that we know that they're going to come out hot and that the margin's going to stay the same pretty much the whole game, and that they're not going to pile it on in the second half.
So
And
sometimes when you like the favorite, you'll do it, and that's one of the. I always wondered that because I've never been much of a half better, but a lot of the sharp people I know always do it, and I want to utilize it more. That makes sense though, because a lot of times, yeah, they'll build the lead up and kind of coast home.
yeah, and so like in this case, you'd only lay four instead of the eight, where you're not getting that weird margin that can get screwed up towards the end of the game. But overall, I don't really love this game from a gambling perspective. I do think it's going to be a fun game to watch, and I'd like to see if Indiana can bounce back because I did pretty well cashing with them, but then after that trade. They haven't been as good, and I've lost a couple bets with them. So trading lightly with Indiana. JSU, are you here with us now? You want to throw your thoughts in on Big T's favorite MVP?
Yeah, we're talking Giannis, I assume.
You
Big
fed
Yeah.
the gerbils. You're
MVP.
back with us. I mean, are you
Yes.
okay there, JSU?
I don't know. My mic wasn't working for a sec, and then I had no idea. It was my computer absolutely shut down. I have no idea. It's that AOL internet, as Big T likes to say. I got that, so I'm good now. Though we're reset and we're ready to roll. So Giannis. If we're talking about Giannis, I mean, I'm kind of in line step with what Big T is. I'm not as hard as Big T is when it comes to like he sucks. I wouldn't go that far, but he does suck as a shooter, and he's not a number one on a team because a number one on a team needs to be able to make a big shot at the end of the game. He's never going to be able to do that. So from this game, though, it's not a game that I was targeting from a betting perspective. Milwaukee against Indiana, anyways. So
Total 233. Do you think you have anyone in your lineups here, or do you think this is just going to be you're going to pass over it altogether?
I mean, I think that the Indiana side in tournaments is going to be lower owned if we're talking from a DFS side. So if you
Okay.
wanted to play Giannis, I would just stack it up the other way because Brogdon's 8K, Sabonis is like 8,300. Their price tags have come down a little bit from what they were. The problem is there's not much great value from this game to make that stack like really work. So you're going to have to find value in other areas, but there are some good value spots already opening up for us as injuries come out. So it's okay.
Why in the world did Sabonis's price get cheaper? Is the question.
No idea.
He went
Matchup,
for like
like,
60 yesterday.
yeah, I wonder if it's like matchup, even though Milwaukee has been terrible the last like 5 or 6 games defensively outside of the Portland game where they crushed them. They've been awful to like bad teams too, not even to like good teams either. Like Charlotte was a team that was giving them trouble, and like Cody Zeller made them look bad like that game. Like there was some not so great players who have done well against them the last couple games. So I have no idea where the prices came down. That's why I think in tournaments their prices are down and they're going to be probably lower owned. So
Sabonis is going to have to be somewhat owned.
you think he's going to be somewhat owned?
He's so cheap. He's 8,300. I mean, that's cheap.
I can find
Gary
guys in
thinks
those
he's going to be.
range. I
Gary
can
thinks
find guys in those range that are going to be popular though.
Yeah, Gary thinks he'll be the highest owned player on the slate. The next
Gary
game we
said that?
got.
Oh, I got
Yeah.
to get the chat up.
The next game that we're going to talk about is the 76ers heading down to Charlotte to take on the Hornets. Hornets getting 7 points at home. Philadelphia 15-6 on the year, number one in the East. Charlotte 10-11, good for their expectations. Philly 12-8 to the against the spread. Charlotte 12-9 against the spread, showing that they did have low expectations. The over under. Philly's 11-10 to the over, while Charlotte is 10-11. So the bookmakers have done a good job setting the totals here, and the total tonight is 224. I think this is a tough game to bet until you are sure of Embiid's status, because we know that he can go in and out of the lineup. And although they were able to get that win over Indiana without Embiid in the lineup, I still don't necessarily trust this team without Embiid. Did you guys like this game at all? I kind of lean towards taking the points, but I don't love it.
Yeah, I don't have a strong feel either way with this one. There's some bunch of injury things too, like Rozier. We don't know for sure if he's going to play. Embiid. So yeah, I mean, I think you just wait and maybe something opens up. But for me, nothing DFS-wise either, so it's kind of a stay away for me.
Nothing from a DFS perspective? You don't like anything from this game?
You're not going to put LaMelo Ball in there?
I mean, not at 7K, I don't like LaMelo.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about LaMelo, but, like, I'll take some Gordon Hayward with no PJ Washington.
You love.
Oh, God, he's a good player in a good spot, and they don't have forwards. Like, Embiid is going to crush. Hayward is going to crush at 7,200. How do you not like Embiid? Like, you don't like Embiid as a spend up?
I mean, he's fine.
Okay, we're not in line step on this game at all because I like this game. Like, I love this game, actually. That's so funny. Big T's off this game. I mean, you can look at it and say Charlotte is hung in there with some pretty good teams. Mm-hmm. They're not a great team, but they can at least score and hang in there with other teams. And even without PJ Washington, I just think that means more minutes are centered around their, Miles Bridges gets a few more minutes. The guards are all going to be in play, whether Terry Rozier is in or not. LaMelo Ball is going to get minutes. I think Malik Monk will get some minutes because they'll play small. So I think some guys are in play here for DFS. And from a betting perspective, I mean, I don't know. I kind of like Charlotte plus the points.
Yeah, I do too. My only worry there is that the cat's kind of out of the bag on Charlotte. I think they were great value right out the season. That was actually one of the teams that I'll pat myself on the back on. I was right that they were going to be better than people expected. But now that they're close to 500 and people have cashed some tickets with them and really seen them play well, and LaMelo Ball has been so much fun to watch that they're actually worth watching. They're not just meandering around, kind of like Orlando used to, where they cash tickets with you and you still wouldn't want to watch the game. So, yeah, I lean towards taking the points there, but I don't have a full play yet. Another one I might do on that one is just watch it live, and then if Embiid plays, I'll just grab Charlotte after Embiid's stint on the bench. Because or right before it, because Embiid will come in, they should get a lead, and then Charlotte will probably push back when he hits the bench. So maybe I'll look to take Charlotte live when Embiid hits the bench. Next game we have on the slate is for subscribers. I did an article on this, so I won't tell everyone my exact play, but I think this should be a fun game to watch. It'll be the picks that were traded for each other, and that's Trae Young and Luka Doncic as Dallas Mavericks are laying 1.5 in Atlanta. Not sure if our favorite courtside Karen will be at the game. I don't know if that affects the handicap. And the total's 223. Dallas lost 6 in a row. Is this the night they turn it around, Big T?
Man, I just think Atlanta might be better than them. They got a better roster to me. Luka and Trae is an interesting debate. I'm still, I guess, torn on it. Like, I think everyone assumes Luka's better, and Luka probably is better, just honestly. He probably is, but I think it's way closer than a lot of people think. I love Trae, too. I like both of them, both good players. But you look at the rest of the roster, if you assume that's close to a wash, which even if Luka's better, the rest of the roster, though, Atlanta has a clear advantage to me. All the rest of the guys are better on the Atlanta side, I think. I'm not a big Porzingis guy at all. I just like Atlanta, so I'll definitely like them as a dog. These are the games I like the most. The public, I feel like, will like Dallas a little bit, and I like Atlanta at home. Outright, money line, plus the 2, whatever it is. DFS-wise, I don't love much here. I mean, Trae and Luka are both priced up. I think they're good. Like a lot of the stars on the slate, they're good. Never going to have an issue with playing them. But the rest of the prices, nothing sticks off the page at me in the rest of the game. So for me, it's going to be Atlanta betting-wise, but nothing DFS-wise.
JSU, what do you think? Are you in lockstep with Big T on this game? Are you guys going to agree, or are we going to get another crossfire here?
I am not in lockstep with Big T. Me and Big T are definitely not in line.
I like that.
Dude, I did a great job of organizing this.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did. We don't see eye to eye here. We don't see eye to eye on the Luka Trae thing. Big T clearly, I know this for a fact. I don't know why he beats around the bush. He thinks Trae's better than Luka, which is fine. You can think that. I don't know
if I do though.
But you did. I saw a tweet that you sent out, or you retweeted, or something like that. I think it was your boy Empire who started the whole thing when he said Trae is better than Luka, and you retweeted it and said you agree and all this stuff. Just say it like you think he's better. I think it's fine. I think it's not egregious, but I just don't agree with it. I think that Luka is much better, and I think people were just trying to get on him when he clearly wasn't in game shape. He wasn't ready to play to start the season. Like, it was clear he was playing himself into shape, and people were like getting on him for that. And now he's in better game shape, and he's obviously playing better, and that's gone. Like, that narrative is
So
gone
if he's
now.
playing better, when are they going to ever win some games, or is it when does that
Well,
start?
yeah, they are tonight.
Oh, okay.
Tonight is the night. Yeah, they're winning tonight. I like them. I like them. The spread. Give me them. Was it -1.5?
Yep.
I'll take them. Take them. I just like them here. I like this spot. The one thing that Big T said so the Atlanta roster, maybe overall when everyone's healthy, I agree that they have more talent. The problem is like DeAndre Hunter, who I think is really good. Like, I think he's one of their better defensive players. I think he's becoming one of their better offensive players that people might not have realized he's getting this good is out. And I think that's a huge loss for them defensively and offensively, because he's been knocking down shots for them, big shots. He's one of those guys who, in rotation, when they, trap Trey, he gets left open in the corner and he has to make big buckets. He's not there, and he's been doing that all year. And I think that hurts them. And I also think that Dallas, who played like a bunch of games without a third of their roster or whatever it was, like something crazy like that, we got to give their roster a little bit of a break too, because a lot of those guys hadn't played in forever. Look at Josh Richardson slowly playing himself into shape. He has to play better. He played better last game. And that has to continue for their success. I think he's key. A couple other guys, but I think we need to ease up on the bench and like the secondary guys for Dallas, because some of them hadn't played in a long time, and they're just kind of getting back into it. It's their third or fourth game back from that long, break they had because of the COVID tracing.
Yeah, and what I would say is I definitely agree with you on the loss of Hunter on the defensive end. That should hurt Atlanta tonight. I think they do. I think they're able to absorb it pretty well offensively just by spreading the usage around a little bit more. And speaking of that usage, with the loss of Hunter, does that mean that Cam Reddish is a guy that your guys are targeting in DFS, or am I just kind of making a leap there that I shouldn't be making?
He just hasn't gotten the minutes bump with Hunter out that you would think he would get. They're more just running out Herter for big minutes. Herter saw like 38 or 39 minutes last time out.
I mean, Reddish is getting tons of minutes.
He got 29 last game.
Yeah, I mean, 35, 32, 29. Like, what was the score of the last game? Weren't the Lakers beating up on them, or what was the score?
They were.
It was pretty close. It went down to the end. The final score was 107-99.
That was the Karen game.
Yes, that was the Karen game.
Yeah, I love Reddish. I can't wait to play Reddish tonight.
Is Herter going to be in a lineup?
Who?
On FanDuel. Big T likes Herter.
I don't like Herter. I hate Herter.
I thought you liked him. I thought you said that on a show.
I did like him a little bit, but man, I've watched him this year. He just doesn't do anything. He's just one of those white dudes that just doesn't do anything but shoot. I hate guys like that. Like, do anything else.
What about Cam Reddish though?
He's at least skilled a little bit.
He is, yeah. I think he's better than him too.
Like Herter is 5,600. He's 1,000 more.
I think. What about when their prices are locked on FanDuel? I
still like Reddish more. I think.
Yeah. Okay. I don't really like either.
If they're the same price, then it would be like on FanDuel. If they're the same, then it's close.
So for these teams, Dallas 8-13. Obviously to the under. Atlanta 5-15 to the under this year. Complete difference from last year, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that they have Clint Capella and they're not just giving up layups left and right. They put the total at 223.5 here tonight. Do you think the under trend continues with these teams, or is this the night that they break out and finally hit the over as the books have adjusted and brought the number down kind of slowly week by week?
I mean, I don't have a strong feel either way. I would like to over though if I had to lean.
What about you, JSU?
I agree. I would lean the over.
All right. Well, that's fair. Yeah, I don't necessarily love it. I mean, it seems like an over game to start, but these teams have been going under with the regularity, especially Atlanta. I think is if it's not the most, one of the most under teams that the NBA has tried it out this year. So for the next game, we're going to go to a team that's off a marquee matchup last night. They lost to the Brooklyn Nets. Now they head to Cleveland, where they lay 8 points to a Cavaliers team that, kind of like the Hornets, is surprised, done better than their expectations. Colin Sexton's done fantastic. The addition of Jared Allen obviously helps. So what do you think, guys? I was looking to grab Cleveland +8 here. Not 100% sold. It was 9.5 last night. Obviously, they're taking a little money, so hoping for maybe a little Clippers buyback and I can get a better number. So I've gone ahead and fired on that. But what do you guys think? Do you like the Cavaliers here? Or do you think the Clippers try and turn it around and get things going right on this road trip after the loss last night?
I love Cleveland. I think Cleveland could win outright. This is one of those dog games where the Clippers, they wanted them. The NBA is easy for me to read. Like last night was a statement game for the Clippers, and they still had a battle and lost. So tonight, I mean, they don't care about this game. They're a big game team. I'm not saying that whatever, they're just going to roll over. I wouldn't be shocked if they sit one of their two guys tonight on top of it, which will get you a nice little price if it does. Who knows? I mean, they could sit both of them or something. You never know with this Clippers team. But 8, Cleveland's a better team than people think. They probably won't make the playoff. Nothing crazy, but they're better. I mean, you look at their roster. Their roster isn't terrible, and they got some young guys that can do some things. They're going to be way more up to play this game than the Clippers. Getting 8 at home, I mean, the Clippers are coming off a huge game, now going to Cleveland. I just can't imagine they're excited to get up for this game tonight. So definitely, I'm with you, Spread. Give me the 8. And who knows, maybe if someone's out, we can buy it back later. I mean, maybe it drops to, say someone sits, like Kawhi or whoever sits.
Which I think he will. That's another reason I was thinking about grabbing the 8 now.
Yeah, I mean, what is he listed as? Just questionable or nothing?
Yeah, I mean, isn't he questionable? He's not even listed?
No, I don't see.
I don't know if it means anything though. Like it's not national TV or anything. They could easily just say he's out or something. Like, and the line will have to move if one of these guys is out. I like Cleveland a lot for sure.
JSU, are you gonna join us? Or are we gonna get another crossfire with you and Big T?
No, no crossfire here. I think if I'm leaning somewhere, it'd be taking the points with Cleveland. Andre Drummond, who's questionable, I expect him to play. I just think they gave him a little break, not playing him last game after playing him 30 plus minutes and not playing Jared Allen 2 games ago, only like 15. They pretty much just gave Jared Allen the start there and gave Drummond the rest. I expect Drummond to play here, which means that I definitely like Cleveland a little more with Drummond in as opposed to with them out. Even though Jared Allen's good, it's just Drummond is obviously right now a little better.
All right. Who do you think we'll have in the lineups tonight? Is this a DFS type game, or do you guys just kind of scroll over this and look for a game that you think has a higher total?
I mean,
yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say it all depends on the injury news. I mean, if we get Kawhi Leonard or Paul George out, that's going to put the other one clearly as one of the top spend ups on the slate. Okay. And who knows, maybe like Big T said, we get them both out. And if we get them both out, then maybe it's, Reggie Jackson and Nicholas Batum and Lou Williams, who's cheap, and other guys who get put square into play that we can look at for our lineups. And then also on the other side, it's like Andre Drummond is still questionable. I'm assuming he's going to play. But if he is out, then obviously Jaron Allen's back in play and Colin Sexton and the guards are a little better plays. So I think the injury news is going to dictate the DFS lineups for sure when it comes to this game. Because as of right now, the way it stands, I don't have a ton of interest outside of like Paul George, who's somewhat cheap on like FanDuel. But that's what I'm looking at right now.
Big T, who's going to be in your lineup?
The Clippers are, I mean, JSU said it best. The Clippers are easy fade for me if everyone's in, even Paul George on FanDuel. I won't have any Clippers coming off that game last night if they're all in the lineup. But one guy's out, and all of a sudden, that's just how funny DFS works. If I go from zero interest for sure, like I won't even look at the game that much. I won't dial in. But once one of them's out, all of a sudden, basically the whole team's in play. So that's what's so crazy and makes DFS so fun is it can change that quick. Or like JSU said, Drummond somehow out. all of a sudden Jared Allen's one of the better plays of the slate. It's why it's fun. It gives us an edge to pay attention to the news and be the quickest to react to it. So I like that. I mean, Drummond is definitely in play for me if he's in. 8,400 feels way too cheap against a Clippers team that, frankly, just doesn't have any size to deal with a guy like Drummond. So he should eat. And then Sexton and Garland are always in play. Again, though, if the Clippers roll everyone out, I don't have a ton of interest, though, because they are one of the better defenses. But the minute one of those guys is rolled out, all of a sudden this game becomes very, very interesting.
All right. The Clippers have been an over team, 13-9 to the over this year. Cleveland been the opposite, been an under team, 8-13 to the under this year. The total is sitting at 219 after it opened at 218. Do either of you guys have an educated side on this, or do we just completely pass over this total and move to the next game?
I just want to wait on the news, but I would bet under, if anything. I mean, a letdown spot on the road in Cleveland, defensive team already, slower pace. I would definitely bet the under, but, I mean, it's not a 5-star selection or anything.
All right, JSU, do you got a lean there?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in line with Big T there. I think that if anything, I'd lean under. But again, injury news is key on this game in general.
All right, the next game we got the 4-13 Washington Wizards coming off their win over Brooklyn. No. Then they played last night and they barely lost to Portland. And then Miami, who's 7-13, probably one of the biggest disappointments in the NBA so far this year. Washington 7-10 against the spread, so they've covered a couple of the games that they've lost. And Miami 7-13 against the spread. One push, 6-13 and one push. Washington's 11-6 to the over. Boy, it feels like they're 17-0 to the over. They seems like they always go over. Miami 10-10 to the over. Games currently sitting at -8, open at 9.5. Total open at 227.5. And how can you bet an under in Wizards game? So that's already up to 229.5. I mean, I hate to just sound like a broken record here, but once again, I want to take the points here. Seems like too many. The only thing that's taking it off is before we jumped on, JSU told me that Westbrook is out, and I kind of like the way he'd been playing the last couple games. So how do you guys handicap the game knowing that Westbrook's probably not going to play?
Go ahead, JSU.
Yeah, so I mean, to me personally, I don't really like the Wizards here. Miami's fully healthy. The Wizards coming off playing last night against Portland. No Westbrook. I don't like the spot for them against a solid Miami team who has everyone back and should have pretty much everyone healthy and ready to go for this game. So Jimmy Butler's looked really good. I just think it's a complete mismatch on one side. One side is a much better team all around and has all their guys. Another side is missing one of their key guys and is not a really good team on top of it. So,
all right. Well, JSU wants to lay it here, and fortunately, since you waited, you're getting a little better number than if you hit it at the opener. Big T, what do you think? You taking the points here, or are you going to lay it with JSU?
No, this is a clear stay away game for me. I have a hard time with these like 10-point spread range games where one of the teams is bad, but I don't necessarily trust Miami either. I mean, they've been really bad themselves. It's just this is a clear game where even DFS wise, Washington's defense is bad, but Miami, like, I just don't. When they're at full strength and they got almost everyone except Nunn, I think looks like they're going to play. Nunn isn't even. I mean, he's fine, he's good, but they got all their key dudes in here. All of them are priced fine, so I'm off of Miami, even though they got a really good matchup, and it could blow out on top of it. So super easy fade for me there. And then the Washington side, we just got to – this is how DFS works. Like we just said, Westbrook's out. Who's going to get the bump? I think it's a guy like Ish Smith. Beal, obviously. I mean, Beal is expensive, but if they keep it close, it's going to be because of Beal. Ish Smith is the other guy. Ish Smith has got a decent amount of run lately, even with Westbrook. Now that Westbrook's out, becomes a clear one of the better plays. And then it gets hard, though, on Washington because they play 37,000 people, which I hate. I mean, all these dudes play. And like last night, I loved Rui. I'm just going to keep picking on Portland inside because Kanter's good on offense, can't guard anybody. Rui last night, 8. And that's why I did good on FanDuel last night because no one played Rui, and he just pounded Portland inside. But now Rui gets the worst possible matchup. NBA's all matchups. he's not going to eat on Big Bam in there. I don't like him. Bertans has looked terrible. So DFS-wise, it's just Beal and Ish for me. Maybe if something opens up, one of these cheaper guys, if we hear some news or something. But that for now, and definitely no sides for me in this game. I'd bet under, though, actually, if I was doing anything. Miami likes to play a little bit slower in this spot, especially if it turns into a blowout. Without Westbrook, they're not going to push crazy pace. I know they play
They
no
push
D.
crazy pace even without him.
I know, but Miami, I just don't know if they can score enough. I'm terrible at totals, so definitely don't listen to me totals.
JSU, any of these players from this game going to make it into your lineup?
Yeah, I mean, I think that Ish Smith, the one reason why we've seen his minutes go up is one, because there's been no Raul Neto, who was the backup guy, who's been getting a lot of run when these guys have been out before. And he's out as well. So they're really thin at the point guard spot. And the other reason is because they've been playing Ish Smith with both Beal and Westbrook. So even when Westbrook is in without Beal, Ish Smith isn't necessarily being the one taken out for him. And we've seen them both play together. So that's helped Ish Smith in his minutes go up. He played 27 minutes last game. And if you watched him play, every single time he got the ball, he sprinted down the court. They don't slow down at all. Ish Smith actually speeds up the pace. He does the exact same. He is the exact same thing as Westbrook when it comes to when they catch the ball, they just fly down the court. They want to push the pace as much as possible. So I don't see them slowing down at all. I see the same type of style of play personally, at least when Ish Smith is in the game. Maybe when he's out of the game, they slow it down a little, but I think they keep the pace. The problem is, I think Miami's going to be able to hold them a little bit defensively and then slow the game down and make them play at least somewhat slower at times, and it's going to kind of mess them up offensively. And then Davis Bertans is someone who has been awful, and if he's not scoring, they're going to really struggle to score because Bradley Beal you can't just count on him in these spots, even though I know he can. You can't just count on him to put up 40 real points every time Russell Westbrook is out. The guy is great, but God, he can't do everything, especially when he's getting blitzed with the ball in his hands constantly.
Yeah, I mean, so I think this game might exemplify the fact that we don't need to bet every game on the board. Next game we got is a rematch that was played 2 nights ago where Houston, who has been fantastic since acquiring Oladipo and getting rid of Harden, they blew out the Oklahoma City Thunder by 30 points in a game where they were a 5-point favorite. The game went way over. The total closed at 224. The game will look a little different tonight, however, as John Wall is out, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is out, and there's one other big name player out, right?
I'm
trying
to think. I don't think so.
There was a third player that I was worried about playing.
From the Houston side?
George Hill from OKC.
Oh, George Hill. That was it.
George Hill.
Right. So that makes them really thin at point guard, right? On the Oklahoma City side.
Yeah.
Boy, it almost seems like I don't like lane 7 on the road, but that just seems like the only way I can look here. As we know how important SGA is to that offense. I still think that they're going to be able to defend, but I love Houston's defense at the point of attack with Oladipo and Aaron Gordon on the ball, and then that allows John Wall to just sit in the passing lanes and maybe just play one of the 3-point shooters and not have to be on-ball defense. And they're even making Christian Wood look okay on defense. So it really gives you credit, right, to the way that Houston's been playing. I also like David Nwaba, Sterling Brown, as these guys are coming in and giving you strong defensive minutes off the bench. So I like Houston here. I hate lane 7 on the road, but it seems to be the only way I can look. Total went down to 222, and I think that's mainly based off how is OKC going to get points. So what do you think? Do you think this will be another Houston blowout here tonight in Oklahoma City?
I mean, it looks that way. So here's the problem is, with no Wall and no Nwabo, for Houston, and then OKC's without their 2 main, point guards in George Hill and SGA, there comes a point where, OKC is looking at this game saying, okay, where are we going to get points? A lot of times what happens is SGA creates so much attention offensively that when they run those pick and rolls with him at the top, he gets doubled and it's forced to give the ball up. And they're pretty much giving someone a wide open three as they rotate the ball. Now that's gone. They're not going to, no team is going to double anyone on this team. So now they're not even going to get those wide open 3-point looks that Theo Maladone and Darius Baisley and Lou Dort, they were just continuously getting. I'm kind of worried about where the points are going to be scored. The problem is if they do find a way to keep this game close, like from my perspective in a DFS way, some of these guys are going to crush because of their price tags. The problem is, will they score? I definitely lean the under here. First of all, that's definitely one bet that I like because I just don't trust that they are going to be able to score enough. And then I think with Wall out of the game, it might slow the Houston side down a little bit more because why are they going to push the pace if they get up on this team?
Yeah, I mean that's definitely true, and Wall's been a pleasant surprise for the NBA this year. You know, I kind of written him off, but you know, I think this year showed more than any that these Achilles injuries have been able to overcome as Wall's come back, looked to be a pretty good player. We know how good Durant's looked. I thought the Warriors were done when Clay went down, but boy, I think they might be able to come back from these injuries now. Are Achilles the new ACLs where they used to be career enders and now they're just out for a year? Something to keep in mind. Big T, what do you think here? Are you gonna lay the 7 points?
No, so I wanted JSU to talk so I could retort him for once. And
let's go.
I love OKC tonight. I think they win, and it's by far my favorite DFS team. So I got to go with my boy. JSU laid it out perfectly. It was like we talked. He said, how are they going to create offense? They're going to go to his boy Horford. He's going to run it from the high post, and he's going to crush tonight. Horford has been really good the last 3 games. They're going to run the offense through him. He's going to smash tonight. Houston has no one that can deal with him at all. Sounds crazy because he's washed. I mean, I don't love Horford, but
no, don't do that. Don't do that after you just said how is he going to. Then don't do that to Horford. Poor Horford.
This matchup is ripe, though. He's going to crush. I love Diallo. I love Baisley. Baisley's going to score a bunch of points. Maladon is so cheap. Like JSU said, all these guys. The top 5, even Dort is cheap. I mean, you can go to Justin Jackson at $3K is cheap. All these guys, I mean, literally who's ever in here.
Kokashevsky over him or whatever his name is. Don't play Justin Jackson.
The point. Like I like all of these guys from OKC. JSU later on his show today will be making fun of me because he'll see 2 or 3 OKC guys in my lineup, like always. But I love it. And then so you go the other way with Wall out. Houston has a clear path of production with Wood, Oladipo, Gordon, the 3 of them. Clear production. All 3 of them are going to crush. I love all 3 of them. It's just this is the game. There's always one game that gets my focus for the night, and it's weird that this is the game, but it just goes to show you, it doesn't always have to be the highest total. If this game stays close, it's going to be the best game of the night DFS-wise. If it blows out, I'll lose. I'm fine with that.
See, can I say something, though? Because this is a really good example. So from a DFS side, what Tony is pretty much saying, I'm fine with. Like, he's laying it out perfectly. If this game stays close, it's going to crush. Like, there's no doubt in my mind. And even though I don't have as much faith, maybe, as much faith as Tony has, that OKC can keep it close, I will still take a shot with OKC in tournaments. Because stacking this game up, like I said, if the game does go off, you're going to need it. So just because I don't have as much faith as Tony doesn't mean I'm not off of it from a DFS perspective.
Why do you guys think Houston's just going to kill him? Houston sucks.
I didn't say Houston's
They've won
going
like
to
5
kill.
in a row since they trade Harden.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean they're good. And Wall's out.
But I never said Houston was just going to kill them. My worry.
You guys were both touching each other over Houston.
No, that's not what I said. You stop putting words into my mouth. My worry is that I don't know where the points are going to be scored because their offense is run through pick and roll.
Big Daddy Horford is where they're coming from. That's your boy.
I mean, I hope so. I hope you're right. Now I have to play some just in case, but.
He's going to crush. He's going to get like 50 fantasy points tonight.
It makes me feel better that you're high on this game, though, because if you look at the playbook, which I did and will be up on the site, and I have to do some updates after the show, but it'll be up on the site soon at Run Pure Sports. But You'll
There's
see a
literally
bunch
no
of
way.
OKC guys.
There's no way Diallo isn't in the winner tonight. Like, he's going to smash.
Yeah, I mean, I like Diallo.
This is why I enjoy doing the show with you guys. I never would have guessed that we were going to have OKC people in DFS lineup. So, see, I'm learning something new every day here. This went from a game that might have just got passed over on my league pass to I think it's going to be on one of my 3 TVs here tonight as I'm setting them all in because
No, definitely
I got
don't pass this game up.
I
That's for
got
sure.
yeah I got to see how this one turns out now. So you guys have got me hyped for a game that
Can,
I
can
was
I
pretty
say
much
one
ready to
thing
pass
too?
over. Go right
I'll
ahead.
take Christian Wood over Sabonis any day of the week in this spot. Give me Christian Wood over Sabonis any day of,
I might have
especially
to
if
get some
Sabonis is
JSU bucks on that one.
Oh, give it to me, Big T. Come on, I'll take Christian Wood. He is going to smash this OKC team inside.
Smash, but whew.
He is going to smash. You just think Sabonis is that good of a play? Like you
Sabonis is just better than Wood.
Oh God!
And
Stop
Miles
looking
Turner
at
might
the.
be out now too. Like,
Oh, is that 100%? I didn't see that.
he's questionable, and I think it was a downgrade. So
Okay.
Okay, well, that's
So I
good
still
info.
like Christian Wood. I'm not backing off.
I mean, I'm gonna play Wood too. So yeah.
All right. Well, we got a perfect timing here as Joey Work just showed up in the chat, and we're about to talk about his favorite
Why is
team.
Joey Work not on this show? Like, what?
Yeah.
I'll bring him on next week if you guys request that. We'll do that.
I mean,
for,
Joey
for
Work,
next
where are
Wednesday.
you at?
We'll get that next Wednesday. I can't run the show and send out links at the same time. I'm not as good as Jay, but we will talk about his favorite team in honor of him not being here. New York Knicks, who are now 9-13, they're going up against the Chicago Bulls, 8-11. New York 10-12 against the spread. The Bulls 12-7 against the spread. Definitely defying expectations, and I'll admit I was one who had those low expectations too. Unfortunately, New York only 7-15 against the spread. A lot of money coming in from that huge New York financial powerhouse, and Chicago 11-8 to the over here. So, what are you guys thinking here as far as this game? We know that Chicago won the other night. No, yeah, Chicago won 110-102. And then a lot of times they zigzag here on these back and forths. I like Chicago in that last game. I like the way they match up with New York, but I hate doing it like for the 2 nights in a row. Because it just seems like, if you're the losing team, you have more adjustments you can make, right? Like, what's Chicago going to adjust? New York knows exactly what they did wrong to blow that game. So that's what's kept me off this game so far. Big T, what do you think? Is this going to end up being a 1-1 here? Does New York get the win back, or will Chicago get the little mini sweep here?
Yeah, I mean, this to me looks like a clear just stay away. It looks like a coin flip game. I could see both teams winning. I don't have a strong take either way, honestly. And DFS-wise, same thing. I'm pretty much off of it. The only guy I mention every time I talk about the Knicks is freaking Quickly. The dude is really good, and he continues to get a little bit of a boost here. I get worried still when they just bench him randomly. But, I mean, he could literally be their second best dude pretty easily, maybe even their best dude at some point. He's that talented, and I'm going to keep playing him a little bit here and there just because – he's a guy that gives upside. I mean, he can get you 50 points any night, fantasy points, that is, any night, and he's still pretty cheap. So tournament play only, and he's just always going to be in play for me.
Yeah, and just like Tyson Fury pretty much has the best name ever for a boxer, I think if you're a point guard, Emmanuel Quickly is a pretty good name too. So, JSU, what are you thinking? We're sitting here and we're being pansies on this game. Are you gonna come in and show us how it's done and give us a hot take here, or at least give us a pick?
I'm with Joey Work. Give me the Knicks here. Forget the Bulls. The Bulls aren't good. I'm with Joey. They're not losing to the stinking Bulls. I think the Knicks are better. Yeah, put it back up there. They're not losing to the Bulls. So I think the Knicks are better. I first of all, just in general, Zach LaVine is just different this year. He's not as aggressive, which is kind of weird in a way. I guess he's not taking as many bad shots, which is good. But I think it honestly hurts them with the team they have constructed. I understand it if he was around other guys that were like as talented as him. He's not. He is not. And he's trying to like play this guy that is not a volume shooter, and that's not who he is. And so he's taking less shots and doing less because of it. And I have no idea why. He's given up shots to Garrett Temple and Thaddeus Young and I mean, what are you doing? Like, I don't understand it. I understand him not taking bad shots, but why aren't you getting this dude in more situations where he can score as opposed to giving these secondary guys that aren't as good shots to score? Like, I don't get it. I don't get what the Bulls are doing at all. And then you're going to count on Lauri Markkanen, who's hit 6 threes in his last 2 games, taking double-digit 3-point shots. You're going to count on him to shoot 50% from the 3 again. Like, I don't know. Give me the Knicks here.
I love that you've got a take there. And yeah, my main problem with Chicago, right, is I think they rival Washington with probably the worst defensive backcourt in the league. I do like Kobe White as an offensive scorer, but the problem is it's like they have 2 score first point guards that they can't defend. Probably need a little more balance on there, before they make a playoff push. So something interesting to look at. Total 216. We know Chicago games are high, Knicks games are low, so they put that right in the middle here. Do you guys think that goes over or under?
I don't have a strong take.
All right, I won't even ask you for totals anymore, Big T.
JSU, I'll tell you if ever.
Yeah, you just interrupt if you have a total. JSU, they scored 212 last time they played. Now it's sitting at 216. Do you think, as well as the zigzag on the side, we'll get a zigzag on the total too?
Yeah, I guess I'd lean the over at 216, but it's not something that I'm really confident to bet on the total here.
All right, so we got a great take from you on the side. That's enough. We don't need to bet the total in this game, and we'll move on to another game and a team that's putting up high totals as well, and that's Minnesota traveling to San Antonio. San Antonio is now an 8.5-point favorite. I'm not sure, but off the top of my head, that seems like the most that San Antonio has been favored all year. I did like San Antonio until they blew it against Memphis for me, 2 bets in a row. Kind of disappointing. Minnesota 5-15 on the year. San Antonio 11-10. Minnesota 8-11 against the spread because they usually catch double digits every night. San Antonio 12-8 against the spread. Minnesota 9-11 to the over. San Antonio 11-10 to the over. So the bookmakers seem to be doing a pretty good job on this total. Minnesota with a very impressive minus 9.3 net rating, while San Antonio is at -1. What do you think, guys? I mean, San Antonio, they're a good team, and I like to back them as a dog. I don't know about laying 8.5 with them, even against probably the worst team in the NBA.
Go
Big
ahead,
T, we'll go JSU, and then Big T can do his retort.
Yeah, so one, I don't know if I'd go as far as to say that the Spurs are one of the better teams in the league because, man, they don't look that way to me.
I don't think they're one of the better teams in the league. I think they're one of the better teams in the league to bet as a dog.
Bet as a dog. Okay, my bad. Because, man, they have struggled. Like, they have struggled bad, and I don't really know what it is. Maybe Derek White is a bigger piece than I'm thinking just in general. He's playing himself back in. But I like them here. Like, from a DFS side, this is a good example of it's kind of similar to the OKC side where I see value in these price tags, but I just see better players in DeMar DeRozan and DeJounte Murray and Keldon Johnson. LaMarcus Aldridge is going to be out for this game, so they could go small if they don't want to run out total big minutes. So that might put all these guys in play. And if Minnesota can do just enough to keep this game somewhat in range, they're going to crush. Like, these San Antonio guys are going to absolutely crush because Minnesota is the worst defensive team in the league, or one of the 2. The Spurs are going to be able to do whatever they want with them. I think it's a perfect spot for a guy like DeJounte Murray, who he's really good at taking advantage of bad players and bad teams and stuff like that. He's going to get a lot of run out layups and stuff, which he's really good at. He's really good at, like, the fast break and scoring on the 2-on-1 fast break, getting steals, being in the passing lane. He's really good at all that stuff. Minnesota turns the ball over a ton. Like, this is a perfect spot for a guy like him. And then DeMar DeRozan, who I know Tony hates, but he's under 7K. And without LMA, if they go with that small ball lineup, he might need to rebound a little bit more. He's going to be able to get wherever he wants on the court. This is a perfect matchup for a guy like DeMar, who I, like Tony, hate rostering him for DFS. But in these type of matchups, there's just no one who can guard him, and he's going to have the ball in his hands a ton. So I really like the spot for the Spurs. I see value in their price tags for DFS. I mean, I hope that Minnesota can keep it close from a betting standpoint. I don't know if I have like a strong lean on which way I would go, but I just think, if this game stays close, the Spurs guys will crush.
Yeah, and it's like I usually like taking the points, but it's so hard to take them with Minnesota. So, Tony, I noticed that JSU said DeMar DeRozan, and you let out a big yawn. How many lineups is DeMar going to be in for you tonight? Is he going to be one of your core players?
First of all, yeah, I mean, you guys brought up a bunch of great points, and spread to start with. You said the Spurs one of the better dogs. I agree. I forget who we were talking about earlier in the show, but they're a team I love to bet as a dog and hate to bet as a favorite. And even though it's versus Minnesota, I still don't feel good laying the points with them. They're just one of those teams that just doesn't instill confidence in me, and it goes hand in hand with DFS. Like, I love DeJounte Murray tonight, 6,400 on DK. But, man, I'm not I don't know, this Spurs team drives me nuts. There's no team that can get you better games, and then they'll just floor out on you. Like DeJounte last game, 18 fantasy points. JSU is way better than me at this, and I am working on it. I like to have more safety than JSU has, where I get just mad at these guys that have no floors. And when they just ruin my night, I get mad. Like DeRozan. You look at DeRozan's numbers. This is why I hate him. 7 fantasy points 2 games ago. That is embarrassing. That's an embarrassment to a 6,900 price point. A couple games before that, 25 and 30 and 23. And he just has so many floor games that drive me nuts. And then, he has a 47 in there, 3 47s. So he's a good tournament play, I think. And I need to get better with playing guys like this. But, man, it's hard for me to click that name, DeRozan. It's just, God, when he goes bad, it just goes bad. This spot is good, though. There's just so many guys on the Spurs, too, especially with Derek White back now. I mean, they got legitimately 10 guys they're going to try to get minutes to. I don't know. I definitely like this spot against Minnesota. The prices are good. The spot's good. But I'm not, super, super excited like I was about the OKC game. In Minnesota, the same price point. D'Lo is 6,800 as well. If this game stays close, or if I played a couple Spurs, I would definitely play D'Lo with it at 6,800 because they're going to need his scoring to get there. Jaden McDaniels is basically min price, and he continues to play in the 20s minutes-wise. I mean, if you're going to give me this dude playing 20 to 25 minutes, getting you 15-plus fantasy points, he hasn't hit a ceiling yet, but if he keeps getting over 20 minutes, he could ceiling out one of these games and really get you there. So I don't love this game, but there's definitely plays you can go to.
Yeah, and we know that Big T is basically a beacon of positivity on this Run Pure team. So you know that if it makes him mad, right, it must be pretty egregious. So
I think the Spurs make me more mad than any team for sure.
All right, well maybe we'll get a live stream of you watching DeMar DeRozan a little bit later. So yeah, a lot of fun in that game. I don't think that we necessarily need to attack it pregame. Maybe a live spot, especially if the Spurs start out slow, or if they start out quick and you can grab Minnesota at something ridiculous like plus 18 or something. But I don't see any reason to attack this game pregame. One game that I did attack pregame last night, and I feel bad because I cannot give it out now because the line moved with me. The market agreed with me, and that's Phoenix Suns. They were laying in -2 when it opened last night, and they've moved all the way out to 3.5. Doesn't seem like much. I still like Phoenix, but I definitely, a 1.5. You don't want to give that away for no reason. So Phoenix 11-8 this year. New Orleans 7-12. One of the biggest disappointments in the league so far, I would say. Phoenix is also 11-8 against the spread. Well, New Orleans is 7-12. So seems like just pick the winners with these guys. Phoenix 7-12 to the over, while New Orleans is 12-7. Phoenix had 2.8 net rating, while New Orleans is -2.6. So I don't necessarily love Phoenix. To me, this is more of just like a Pelicans fade. I think that Van Gundy was not the right. So far, it does not seem that way. Now he can turn things around, but it doesn't seem to be the right coach for this team. Seems like he's trying to play that 2009 style ball with Dwight Howard in 2021, and I don't really think it's working. I do not like the fact that they slowed down their pace and they basically made Lonzo look ineffective, and I think that comes down to coaching. I don't think he got worse than last year. I think that he's just a monster in transition in a high paced game. Now you try and get him to do these slow half court executions, and that's where the lack of shooting between Ball and Bledsoe in the backcourt basically just comes back to haunt you. I don't think Steve Van Gundy's playing to their strengths here. I think that Zion is one of those one-way players. He's going to score a lot. He's going to put up those counting stats, but he's terrible on the defensive end. And then so now you have to put Adams out there, and now you're even clogged up even more. No shooting with Ball and Bledsoe. I mean, what is the starting lineup doing? They look much better when the backups come in. I like Alexander Walker. I think that even Kara Lewis should get some run. I think that Lonzo will probably be traded pretty soon, and then maybe we can start trying to back this Pelicans team when they start getting constructed a little better. The only thing I'd have to say probably is positive is Brandon Ingram keeps getting better. But overall, I'm fading the Pelicans here. I don't even necessarily love this Phoenix squad, but I still think that Phoenix gets it done, and I love the -2, and I'd still recommend it at -3.5. What do you think, Big T? Am I on the right side of this game, fading the Pelicans?
I don't understand why Phoenix is favored.
Really? Okay, cool. So we get a little bit of back and forth.
It's not that though. Like I'm not like in love with New Orleans. I don't understand. I guess because Booker's back. I mean, Phoenix is a good team, but I don't think they should be favored over New Orleans in New Orleans. I don't know. I mean, you're probably right because I'm not a huge fan of New Orleans. But I look at Phoenix's roster. I love Chris Paul. I mean, Chris Paul is one of the most underrated players probably in the history of the NBA. Like he's just a basketball player. He's just a hooper. The dude has been good for so long, and he doesn't get that much credit because he hasn't had a ton of success in the playoffs, which he's had a lot of bad luck too in the playoffs. Some rare injuries. I mean, they had that Golden State team, the best team ever, beat. Like they were beat in Game 6. They were beat when he got hurt, and then the next year they almost beat him again. So he's had some bad luck along the way, but he's great. Booker's great. I like Ayton, but besides that, like I hate Bridges and Cam Johnson and all these other guys. Like these guys. I hate these guys should play for the Spurs because I hate these guys. And I look at. Don't you think New Orleans as far as the whole roster? Like their roster is better. What was that other game I talked about where I thought I just had the Atlanta game? Basically the same spread, the same thing. I think I got the better roster as a dog. So, yeah, New Orleans has had some issues, but I'll take my chances getting the points, take the money line too. DFS-wise, it's an easy fade for me. I'm not going to play anybody in this game DFS-wise unless someone ends up being out. So, pretty clear for me. Bet New Orleans, no DFS.
All right, we're on the opposite side there. JSU tiebreaker, Phoenix or New Orleans here?
Yeah, I mean, the Suns are just a better team overall. That to me is clear. And the reason why New Orleans just is not a fit is because, like you said, they have a team constructed around Zion and Brandon Ingram and non-shooters around them. And Brandon Ingram, for everything he does well, he is really good at that mid-range game, and he's gotten better at the deep game, but it's still not his shot, that three-point shot. And then they got guys like Lonzo and Bledsoe.
I hate Ingram not to interrupt you, but you guys both broke Ingram a little bit. I hate Ingram. I think Ingram sucks.
Yeah, okay, but that's not my point is they don't.
I just wanted to clarify. I'm not saying you suck. I'm just wanting to clarify that I think Ingram sucks.
All right, well, now that we know that Ingram sucks, thank you, Big T. We can go back to my point, which is if you have a team constructed around Zion who can't shoot and does all his work around the paint, you need to have people around him that can shoot, and they don't. So I'm never going to like New Orleans very much this year. They play at a slow pace, which is at the detriment of guys like Lonzo Ball and Zion anyways. I don't understand the roster construction at all. It doesn't make any sense. I haven't understood it all year, and I don't understand why they're playing at a slow pace. If they're going to play at a slow pace, Phoenix does a much better job playing at a slow pace than New Orleans does playing at a slow pace. So if they're going to play Phoenix's game, playing that half court crap, give me Phoenix all day. I'll take them at 3.5. I don't even care. Like give me Phoenix. I like them. They play way better in this half court game than New Orleans does.
All right. So you and I like Phoenix. Big T likes New Orleans, even though Brandon Ingram sucks.
Yes. even though Big T hates their best player, he
yeah.
sucks. He wants them.
The final game is my hometown heroes hosting a team that came off a hard-fought victory last night, and that's the Sacramento Kings hosting the Boston Celtics. Boston 11-8 on the year. Sacramento surprising 9-11 because I think our roster is terrible. Boston's 11-8 against the spread. Sacramento's 10-10 against the spread, so kind of a pick-the-winner deal here again. Boston 9-10 to the over. Sacramento 12-8 to the over. Sacramento cannot play defense. This seems like a Boston smash spot. My concern would be, kind of like when the Knicks came into town last week. Did Golden State basically just tire them out, and are they pretty much going to overlook this game? Or do you think we get the best of Boston and they just cover this easy spread of -1.5? Big T, what do you think? Jason Tatum going to be in your roster? Is Boston going to win this game?
So I got a problem with how I bet. Like, my weakness has always been this game, and you can see it just from the small time you've known me. I just always bet Sacramento in this spot. I always bet whenever it's like a really good team versus a team like the Kings that's like whatever, mediocre to bad, and it's always like a 1-2 point spread at home. I'm always a sucker. The same thing probably in the New Orleans game, honestly. The same type of thing where I'm taking the worst team at home. I always fall for it. Like, I never bet Boston in this spot ever. And it's probably a leak in my betting for sure. Like, I'm
with the crowd. In a normal season, I would be right with you. I think with the crowd, those are huge, especially because imagine like Sacramento, like this is a huge game for the Kings fans, right? Just a win against Boston. That's going to be one of the best things that happens this season because we're not touching the playoffs. It's just without the crowd, sometimes I think these road favorite, I take a little more than I would. But yeah, normally I would say I love your spot, and I don't necessarily think it's a leak at all. In a normal season with fans, these short home dogs, especially coming off a big game last night, I think it's a huge spot. I would not consider that a leak.
I've just have all, but like I do it every time. Like I could never. I think it's a leak when you just always do it though. Like I just never would bet Boston here. Maybe it's not. I mean, I've always had decent success with it, but man, it's just I like Sacramento a lot. Sacramento looks good. Boston coming off a big game. It just looks like a good spot. It's still a big game for Sacramento too. They've started to look a little better. I mean, guys like Buddy Hield were awful to start the year. They've started to make a few shots. Fox had a monster game the other night. Whiteside's getting nice off the bench. Holmes has looked good. Barnes has been good. I just think it's a good spot. And with Smart out, Boston's a little more shorthanded to deal with a back-to-back. I mean, Kemba, who knows? We haven't seen extended – have we even seen a back-to-back from him at all yet with decent minutes?
I don't think so.
Yeah, so, like, I wouldn't be surprised even if someone like him sits or something or at least gets a minute limit. You look at – after Tatum and Brown, it's a limited roster. There's not that much there with Smart out. So I like Sacramento, and I'll say it just because I've said it all year, and it just happened the other night. In DFS, when there's only one late game, man, it's tough with COVID because you just never know what's going to happen. And when the game gets pinched off, this game's going to be pretty high owned tonight because it's a high total. It's the late game. Some of these guys are going to get some ownership, and I just always have a little worry. I mean, it probably won't happen that much. Well, the dude in the chat said he's out. Who's out?
Yeah, Tehran, are you talking about Kemba or Smart? We know Smart's out. Kemba's questionable.
Yeah.
And I haven't checked since the show started. So
did I say something? I said Kemba might sit. I know Smart's out, obviously. We said maybe I said something wrong. Smart's out, though. Kemba could sit was what I meant to say for sure. So that's it for me pretty much. I mean, I just think you should always have a little what do you think about that, JSU? Am I always putting – because I know originally you thought I put too much emphasis on – should I even worry about that? Because if it happens, we'll probably just get a free roll anyways from the sites.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they did the last time. So, I mean, I don't know. I think that you called it. You said it was a possibility to happen. And, I mean, it's a possibility, right? Like, I don't know. I still think in tournaments now, that's going to be stuck in people's minds when there's one game that starts at a time and there's no other game that starts at that time. Every other game starts before that game. I think that's now going to be engraved in people's heads what happened a couple nights ago. So I agree with you that it should be a higher owned spot, but maybe that changes the ownership a little bit. Now, if we get news that like Kemba's out, then Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are going to be popular. Like there's no way around that happening. But like, I don't know, De'Aaron Fox, 8,500. I know he just blew up last game, but is he going to be that popular with all these other really strong plays? I don't think so. And I think he's a really good tournament play. No Marcus Smart. Well, you know what I mean? Like that I think he's a real strong play. Rashawn Holmes, I think, is a good tournament play. So there are good plays in this game. I just think you have to come down to it. Like if I'm going to play this game, honestly, I'm just going to stack it up and hope it goes to the moon and hope that people don't go heavy on this game because maybe they're worried about COVID and it being the last game and stuff. That's how I kind of look at it from a tournament perspective. Obviously, though, we'd want Kemba being out, even though I don't think he plays big minutes one way or the other, coming off one of his biggest minutes of the year, 30 minutes, I think he had. He hasn't played a back-to-back yet, so.
All right. So that pretty much finishes up the lineup. We've had a pretty strong show today, but when you have these Wednesday cards, we got plenty to talk about. So
you bring the two talkers on too. We love talking.
Hey, I love it. This has been so much fun for me, so I appreciate you guys joining me. Before we sign off, though, why don't you guys? We already know you're on the DFS, and they'll have everyone will have plenty of time to get your DFS opinions. But what would be your favorite bet, side or total for today? If you can only make one play, Big T, what would you play?
If I had to bet one game, it would be. Let me look. Just one game. It would either be Atlanta or OKC. I'd go with OKC as my one play. What are they, plus 8 or 9?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd have a little sprinkle on that money line, too. I think OKC could beat them tonight outright.
All right, so Big T likes OKC. Grab the point, sprinkle the money line. JSU, side or total, what do you think is the best look on the board today?
Well, I'm glad you didn't go Atlanta because I'm going Dallas, so that's my favorite play of the day.
I wish I would have gone then so we could go head-to-head.
Yeah.
We could go head-to-head whenever you want. I feel like it's every day we go head-to-head. We literally challenge each other every day.
Yeah.
All right. My favorite play for today will be to fade the Pelicans, to fade the Ron Jeremy lookalike coach. I'm taking Phoenix minus.
You guys are both going against you guys hate me. You guys are both going against my teams.
Well, we're trying to get you riled up, Big T. That's what gets the ratings. Chill, Big T. No one wants to see Big T chilling, happy, having a good time. We want to see you fired up, bring in the heat, bring in the hot takes. So
Fred sent me a message after the first disagreement, and he said, "Keep going, just keep disagreeing with everything he says."
Yeah, just keep poking the bear. But gentlemen, this is a lot of fun. Hopefully, we can do it again next Wednesday. I'll reach out to you to confirm for sure as it gets closer. But a lot of actionable info here, and you guys help me a lot, especially as I'm kind of venturing into the DFS NBA lineups. I'm just talking to you guys and absorbing it. Like even if it's not conscious, subconsciously, I just feel like I'm becoming such a better DFS player and seeing what to look for and what to identify. And I hope I'm doing the same for you guys on the bet side. Anything to say before we get out of here?
No, I love coming on, and whenever we can come on, we'll definitely do it because we learn a ton too from you. I always say it when people are signing up for the DFS side, it's $20 extra to get the bets. You get guys like Spread and all these guys on the bet side that even if you're not betting, you still get the info. He's giving the pace numbers and the totals, and maybe you get in there and whoever Jay or one of the other bets guys likes over in a game, and it just all the little stuff adds up, and it's just not that much more for what you get from these guys on the bet side. Every time we come on, I learn something from them. So there's no reason not to do it. The more info you can soak in, the better for everyone.
Yeah, and we've been merging even more. AP and I have been working together a lot, and he's been on a hot streak lately, which is definitely helping out the whole team. So, JSU, anything to say before we get out of here?
No, Spread, I really appreciate your info. And Big T, I love going against you pretty much every single time we get on the show.
All right.
That's the best part.
So we're going to keep an eye on Dallas, Atlanta, and OKC, Houston, and see who gets the bragging rights. And maybe back sooner, but most likely we'll be back next Wednesday with another rundown of the big card. So everybody, thank you for joining us, and run.